right, today we're going to be reacting to a Michaelknowles short clip on patriotism.
Because when I look at America, I see a country that commits barbaric child sex change surgeries, drag shows with men in BDSM gear twerking in front of children, a country which has destabilized the Middle East and flooded Europe with refugees, and a country that promotes the most vile, disgusting porn industry on the planet.
Yeah.
And furthermore, I see a right that is obsessed with libertarianism, but has no concern with duty, honor, and implementing actual legislation against these things.
Dude, I didn't know what to expect. It's a hell of a question. Okay, I mean, I don't know this. And the struggle begins. Whatever the gender of this person is, it's amazing that was really well said. It's amazing you stand up there in front of all those people and you word a question like that. That's pretty impressive.
I want to know, how can you be a patriot for America, given how America is basically modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah?
Because it's fitting to be patriotic, because love of one's country is a natural extension of the love of one's own family. And people have plenty of awful moms and dads, but nevertheless we are to honor our mother and father, and we are to respect the civil authority. And you've recited a litany of awful practices that the United States is engaged in, and I could give you a lot more, by the way. You barely scratched the surface. However, it is your country, and the other countries around the world are not looking particularly hot either. Even the ones that seem to be doing better on a couple of.
Okay, I hate the comparing argument, the comparing countries argument. That to me is idiotic. It's like, oh, this country actually isn't that bad. Well, this country has seen improvements. No, dude. I recall every country being inhabited by the same motherfucker that I look at every day in the mirror, and until that's changed, they are just as fault-worthy and prone to idiotic mistakes and statements as I am. So I don't like where this is going.
A couple of those categories, very often they're actually not quite so hot on those either. And taken as a whole, every country is going to have its own problems. And so to be a patriot, especially to be a conservative patriot, is to try to conserve the good, the true, and the beautiful, to pull out.
Please excuse the horseradish that just came out of his mouth. I recall not ever hearing such blasphemy before. Dude, there is nothing patriotic about there is nothing conservative about being patriotic. Okay, it's being patriotic. You love your country. The country is supposed to symbolize something. Unfortunately for America, it's only been around 300 years. Like you can't re-engineer what the history of Iraq or the history of Syria or the history of Saudi Arabia. I mean, there's a long time coming. I mean, we still have native people from the original conquering of the land still living in the country. I mean, this is weird.
Out the very best of the tradition, and you scolded the libertarians, as I do frequently. I am not a libertarian myself, but libertarians can be somewhat helpful in forming a coalition. I mean, the simple fact is there just aren't that many trads in the United States, and so we need all of the help that we can get. But furthermore, to just throw one's hands up and say, well, my country's gone to pot, and so I have nothing good to say about it. Is that not in itself an extraordinarily individualistic, even potentially libertarian view to hold? I sort of think it is. This political quietism that sometimes crops up in circles with people who are disillusioned with the way the country is run. But I don't think that that's appropriate at all. I think we are called to public life. I think that.
No. Okay. I guess anybody could be a part of a helpful coalition or a team, as normal people would say. Okay. Here goes. If you're going to be a supporter of a country, being libertarian is about as helpful as being an environmentalist. There's no difference. You're basically split up like in groups based on interest, and an interest pushes you, and like you're able to assimilate yourself into people that do the things that you do. Like, don't tell me that people that work in, let's say, the people who work for the FCC, I'm sure they're buddies. Like, I'm sure they're buddies. I'm sure some nepotism also got some more buddies hired. I'm sure they have stories on how Jimmy didn't make it until Mike got there, and 2 years later, Jimmy was able to hop on. So I don't understand where he's coming from. There is a quietism, but the quietism is necessary because there's nothing else to be said besides get money and you'll have a peace of mind. All you can do really is prepare yourself financially, stabilize yourself by choosing a life that fits you and not concerning yourself with the judgment of others or how similar your lifestyle is to others. And you need to kind of have the strength, which is way harder said than done, but the strength to live a life according to your judgment and according to the ones that you trust. And that includes the ones that you trust and that misguide you. But you have to be willing to see the criteria for trustworthiness as more than, is he being mean? Is he being insensitive? Oh, is this inclusive? Sometimes that's not the first question you need to ask. Sometimes you need to ask, does it make sense for me? Again, remember your Instagram reels, how two people can say the very same advice, but they're just different music, different wording, different colorway maybe, and both videos can hit you differently. And it's because it reminds me of Gestalt psychology, where we see things according to like closure, proximity, continuity, and shaping, I think is the other one. But it's like if we see something in a certain way, it appeals to us and it helps us pay attention more. So that's why like graphic designers pay attention to how balanced the photo is. It has to be easy on the eye, and it has to be very nice to look at. Another reason why I love Robinhood, the app, as a stock trading platform and as just a company, I believe that their marketing, their advertising, and their image is head and shoulders above anyone else.
Especially in a nation that is at least notionally self-governing, we have a real obligation to do that. And I think we have a real prospect of doing that as well. You mentioned the problems on the right. It's true, the right for a long time was extraordinarily weak, gelded, if you will. I mean, it was really, really weakened. But that has changed over the last 6-7 years. I'm speaking at a nonprofit institution with a nonprofit organization, so I'm not supposed to name any political candidates. But it is simply a fact that the most prominent people on the right in the last 6-7 years have not really been pushing that particular view. They've been much more comfortable wielding political power, as they should be.
I feel like he missed the boat. So America decided long ago that religion was a sidestep, and I think he knows that. I've watched some other videos on Michaelknowles, so I do know for at least a fact he's a good Wikipedia page. He knows quite a bit of facts. I don't think that there's any coming back from what he's talking about. This like Republicans are okay yielding power. All he's talking about really is gender affirmation surgeries, gender therapy, affirmation therapy care, and the immigrants. It's like just the same things that have always been the argument. The welfare, he probably hated how he left Afghanistan. Actually, he did hate that. I was watching him at that time. And I can see him having a lot of the stereotypical views that I would like just associate with, what's that, Rush Limbaugh? Like, yeah, that's very much where I'm at, except he's a little more well put together.
Because we ought to wield political power for the good. I mean, that's why people elect us on the happy occasions that they do elect us. And
no shit. Will of the good.
So I do not think that all hope is lost, and I think despair is a sin, and I think hope is not only a virtue but a fact, and I think you ought to love your country.
I agree with that. You ought to love your country. I don't know what you would love about this place. There is a beauty in this country, but it's hard to see if you're paying too much attention to the internet or the news. I will say that the beauty of this country, I personally have seen it, and I find it in the people that look the complete opposite of what I would initially wanted to approach.